Oda Nobunaga was not born an outsider. He was born into the ruling house of Owari province, a family with real standing, real land, and real expectations. He was raised for that very purpose from a young age. He was trained in swordsmanship and military strategy. Furthermore, under the tutelage of Hirate Masahide, a master well-versed in poetry, the tea ceremony, no, and other cultural arts, he received a cultural education of a kind that few other Sengoku warlords of the era ever experienced. And Nobunaga rejected almost all of it. As a young man, he dressed like a vagrant, ignored court manners, and earned a nickname that followed him for years. Owari no Otsuke, the Great Fool of Owari. In 1553, Masahide committed seppuku, either to admonish Nobunaga for his unrepentant behavior or out of distress over a growing rift with his lord. Nobunaga deeply mourned Masahide's death. Something within him changed following the incident. It is said that he summoned a monk and had a temple, Masahide-ji, built to appease Masahide's spirit. "7 years later, at the Battle of Okehazama, where he was outnumbered 25,000 to 4,000, Nobunaga neither slept nor prayed. He danced while singing a passage from a dance called Atsumori, more accurately, a Kowaka dance, which contained the line, "Compared to eternity, 50 years under heaven is but a dream," a song that Nobunaga particularly loved. He voluntarily entered a battle he was expected to lose. He ultimately won. As his power grew, Nobunaga returned to the culture he'd once mocked and turned it into a weapon. He hunted down Japan's most famous tea utensils, a practice historians call meibutsugari, and made owning them a mark of status second only to land itself. Then he restricted something no one had restricted before: the right to simply hold a tea gathering. Under his policy, now called Chanoyu Goseido, only vassals he personally approved could host one. A cup could now mean more than a castle. 22 years after Okehazama, Nobunaga was no longer an underdog fighting for survival. He ruled from Azuchi Castle, a 7-story keep finished in 1579, its upper floors covered in gold leaf, its roof tiled in blue glazed ceramic, built to be seen glittering from miles away. No performances at that castle worked the same way. Staged for daimyo, for foreign missionaries, for anyone he needed to impress or unsettle. Culture, in Nobunaga's hands, was never really about the art. It was about who got to stand close enough to see it. In May of 1582, he used that same stage to host Tokugawa Ieyasu. The no performer that day, Umewaka Dayu, gave what every surviving account calls a badly flawed performance. Nobunaga did not hide his fury, scolding and punishing the performer in front of the very guest he was trying to impress. A bad performance in front of the wrong audience was as unacceptable to him as losing a battle. 2 weeks later, Oda Nobunaga was dead. Betrayed by his own general at Honno-ji Temple. He never became a quiet student of any of these arts. He used them exactly as he used everything else, as instruments of control, on his terms, for audiences he needed to command. Because the general who inherited his ambition, a man with no name, no lineage, and no right to any of it, was about to take this same stage and try something Nobunaga never once attempted. He was going to become part of it forever.